1, 2.
In podcast, back again with another episode. You're joined with your host Anton
and also Ola.
And today we're talking about you've changed. And it's the very topic of sometimes we get addressed by people and they're kind of a bit angry towards us because we've changed. And we're just going to explore whether that's cool. Is it acceptable? Should you change as a human being? Is that a thing that happens? Or should you just stay the same way that you are? Like,
why did you change, bro? Why?
Why
that's
change?
What I want to know.
I think change is inevitable. Like, and I think there's like something that's real powerful about change because I don't want to be the same way I was 4 years ago. Because I look back now and I'm like, wow, I've developed a lot. And I've had moments of people turning around to me and going, why you changed?
Yeah.
Like, why are you changing for? And I'm like, should I be exactly in the same position? Because I wasn't put on this earth just to be version 24 of Anton.
Yeah.
There's many versions and iterations.
There's more.
And there's also that whole element of sometimes I will make a statement and I'll be like, I would never, or like I try and refrain from that now. Like I would never go out and be like, I would never, because there's moments where that statement's bit me in the ass.
But you know what? It's an interesting topic because when we say change, do we mean as an individual? So characteristics, traits, because I see that different as growth. I think you can always be growing, but I think if you're successful, you're doing your thing, it's working, why change? Do you know what I mean? There's that kind of cross argument of, but what I'm doing is working, I'm happy, I'm successful, I'm number one in my field. Why change? But I know exactly what you mean in that, because for me, so one big example I sort of deal with, what I've dealt with before is like university, degrees in biomedical science, right? I remember the last day or the last kind of period, someone comes in, she's like, look, a lot of your jobs that you guys wanted to apply for are going to be taken over by machines. It's like, it's happening now. Like, it's literally, I've come from the hospital, I bought the machines, it's happening already.
Yeah.
So I'm just there like, I don't have a choice. Like, I actually have to change. For me to keep moving, to be successful, to keep growing, if the jobs I want to apply for are being automated by machines, what option do I have?
Yeah.
I can't compete with a machine that can whiz around and do 10,000 things in a minute, and I'm just there. I brought the little gas tube. I got to start again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I have to change. And then when I met people that I went to university with, or that knew that my degree was in the sort of field of science, when they find out that he works in finance, it's like, right, why did you change?
Yeah.
This is one of the first things they always say. Why did you change? And it's a sort of like, you have to deal with their emotional response of your life. And I'm like,
you're not living my life.
I'm like, it's my life.
Yeah.
Gee, like, it was my decision. I made it. Why should that affect you? Why are you so bothered? Worry about you and yours.
Because you're not supposed to change. You had your directory, like your directory. You had your direction,
and you changed course. I think it's quite, because one thing I've learned, I think a large part of life is embracing change. Is understanding that change is inevitable.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. I think we as humans, and I'm sure this kind of has origins back to when we were just in caveman times, where we just find comfort in the same thing. Because you know that this is my house, I take this route to go home, it's safe, it works every time. Why would I want to switch it up and go through the woods this time?
Yeah.
I don't know what's down there. But I think it's that comfort in just knowing. It's like because when you think about it, when you try new things, more often than not, you're more nervous or cautious when you do it.
Yeah.
You're more likely to make mistakes, and that kind of leaves a level of not unconfidence or a lack of confidence, because I haven't done this before for my first time. Whereas if you're accustomed to doing something over and over again, you're naturally quite good, and so you're used to it.
Yeah.
So I think change for a lot of people represents a level of fear and uncomfortability.
I'm definitely someone who doesn't really like too much change. But like a common thing that sometimes I get is, oh, you've changed, like in terms of a friendship. So not being so present. No, but like, not being so present and available. Yeah. And to that person, like, oh, you've changed, you're different. Like, why is this happening? You used to be around and now you're not around anymore. And sometimes you feel guilty. And I'm probably thinking like way back where I would change for a reason, but I wouldn't really be like vocal about the change. So it could be just me hanging around with someone who was just, let's call it, very negative or draining in a sense.
Yeah.
and I started to like remove myself and distance myself in such a way, and they'd be like, "Oh, you changed. Like, you think you're different. What?" And they were related to something. Oh, because you got a new job. What? You can't make time for this friendship. And
Think
I'm
you're
like,
better than man, yeah?
and I wasn't like, I felt attacked. So I'd be like, "No, it's nothing. Like, I guess just being busy and everything." But I wouldn't really just be like, "This is why." Because sometimes when people go, "Oh, you've changed," it makes you feel like you've changed for the wrong reason.
I guess it's the context in which they say it, because they say it in that kind of nasty way.
Yeah,
Oh, you changed.
You're different.
And that's good. You should want the people around you to. You should want me to be ever elevating, and that, I think.
But that's not elevated. That's you making a decision not to be around that person.
But you're elevating yourself, though.
But you reckon they understand that?
That's not. It's gonna sound cold. That's not your problem.
Yeah,
if I'm not, that's not, because when you think about it, if you're around a good circle of people who are supportive, and you're telling them, guys, I'm changing, I'm leveling up, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Yes.
Yeah.
You're going to 5, I'm going to 6. Let's go. You bought 1 house, I'm buying 2.
How about if that person who's saying I'm going to buy 5 houses decides not to even buy 1 house, and they said, "Oh, it's not for me. It's not my decision." Like, do you accept that change?
How do you mean if the like?
So they're like, "Oh, Ola, listen, next week I'm going to buy 5 houses."
Yeah.
3 days later, you know what? The houses ain't for me, you know.
Do you mean like what would I cut them off or what?
No,
That-
not cut them
that
off,
change?
but like, how would you be like, this person's just all over the place, changing way too quick, or
It if they're perpetual at that. So if that's something they do every other
Yeah.
week. Today, man's buying 5 houses. Next week, man's doing trading. Next week, man's doing. If it's like every week, because if it's just like
the frequency of it,
Okay, what's going on there? But if it's like they said it once, it's 6 months, and they had a very valid reason.
yeah.
I guess it will depend on that level of frequency, and it depends on what it is as well. In that example, if it's just once, cool, fair enough.
Because to
Stamp
me,
duty is a mad one. Yeah, sorry, you were gonna say.
no, because I actually, I've slowly started to realize that. Let's say I look back at my goal planner, and I've got like all these goals and all these plans, and I will go back to it like at the end of the month, and I'm like, when did this change? Like, this whole viewpoint that I once had has completely changed just from living life. And I feel like life will challenge you. Like you were saying, change is kind of one of those things where it's inevitable, it's going to happen. And you have like good intentions to do whatever that goal was, but then you realize that maybe a bit too ambitious, maybe not right now, and you have to change. But also, if you tell other people, like accountability partner or something like that,
Yeah.
they're like, whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I think that's where it gets a bit more interesting. I think everyone is 100% entitled to make those changes and decisions, and we change course all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure maybe if you look back 3-4 years ago, maybe you had plans where you wanted to be, and maybe you've just made a few tweaks and changes. And I'm like, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I'm still in the general trajectory, but I've made a few minor changes. I'm in a different car, for example. I'm taking a different route. We're going a bit faster than I expected. We're going a bit slower. That sort of thing. I think it's definitely understandable. I think when it gets not concerning, but more of, it's when it's that frequency of we're changing every single day.
That could be cool. That could just be them trying.
It depends. Like, if
It might work.
like, say someone's trying to achieve a
Would
certain.
you tell them you changed? Wow, you changed.
No, sorry.
Bro.
If someone's, for example, someone's trying to achieve a certain financial goal, and they're changing their strategy from like property to shares to whatever, you're still trying to achieve the same goal.
Yeah.
Like, my outcome is still financial, and I'm achieving it. I'm just switching it up because this one's a bit faster than that. That one's better. This one's more stable in this economy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you're doing your thing. Like, you're doing the sort of bottom line of it. Because even when I think about myself, I try and do the, that spreadsheet thing we use.
Yeah.
The kind of like different aspects. So I use that, and I've noticed that not every month, maybe like every couple months, every 2 quarters or so. So let's say a half a year, it does change. I'm like, okay, I wanted to save this amount. I've reduced it to adjust for these things. I wanted to get a car now. I'm like, actually, I don't really need a car. I'm in London. I'm good. I've said I wanted to get a house, end of this year. But now I'm like, actually, you know what? I can push for something a bit higher. Let me push that back a few more months and get something with a bit more value. In that case, it's change. But I'm like, actually, it's change based on changing circumstances. So it's all contextual to the situation I'm currently in. So when I try and think about it, for me, it really does depend on the context in which it's in. And it's just one of those things, because I noticed it in a lot of my friends in the past where they'd sort of change. And at first it was like,
you change.
why?
You're different. Man.
My thing was always, why? Like, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
But I think as I grew older, I just learned to accept and respect people's changes, because more often than not, they're doing it to grow and elevate, to benefit themselves. And who am I to say to someone, how dare you change? Because when they do it to me, I don't really like it. So I'm like, actually, you know what, let me be a bit more considerate and understanding and respectful of why they've decided to make this decision, where they're looking to get to, and how they're going to benefit from it, and just be like, okay, cool, I get it.
So it's definitely a place of like accepting change, especially in other people, because
honestly, because it's just so, it's inevitable. And it's interesting, I had this session at work where this guy was talking about influencing meetings, but then he gave examples of influencing people, and he spoke about how in hospitals, he said with nurses, because he used to work with the NHS, they're probably one of the hardest people to get to accept change. Because he was like, because of the context of the environment they're in, they are so used to doing tried and tested methods that when anyone comes in and says, we're going to do things a bit differently, he was like, they're not having it.
Yeah.
They're not. In that context, I can kind of, it's the same with like a pilot. I want to go on a plane. I know that my pilot is doing the same thing he did with the flight he did last
Welcome
week.
to flight number 444. This is a new system we're trying.
We're going to try a new system. We're going to go a
Hopefully
new
it
route.
works.
I'm going to try some new buttons. Excuse me? No. This ain't no Thomas Cook thing.
This
Stick to
guy,
the route
wow.
and just go the way you're supposed to go. Please.
Wow. Wow, man.
Had to take it. But I think it can be kind of contextual in that sort of sense. But one thing I've kind of heard and understand now is that change is inevitable.
Yeah.
In the workplace, education, the way the world is now, it's just ever evolving and changing. Companies are working even harder to find new ways to take money from us. School education, they've introduced LGBT into their curriculum. With companies now, we have the kind of gender pay gap review, and everyone kind of get an equal pay, you know, as it sort of should be. And there are so many different things happening in the world with e-commerce and homelessness is at like a sort of mad levels now, and there are so many different things happening, and it's just trying to stay on top of these changing factors, Brexit and everything else. There's so much going on, but I think sometimes we can easily get overwhelmed with the amount of change.
Yeah.
And it's also important to limit what you take in. So because there's so much going on, I think it's unfeasible to kind of just take in all the change that's happening all the time. Because there's so much. There's so much going on in the world. There's so much change everywhere. I think it's just important to focus on the change that affects you and your environment. So of all this change, what is most likely to affect me on my day-to-day? How can I just observe that?
Yeah.
And I think also getting into that habit of accepting it and just understanding it. When I look at my little cousins, you were like, I used to change your nappies. But now you're talking about university and freshers.
Like,
I'm
what?
like, nah.
How did this happen?
I'm like, you'd stop growing.
Slow down.
You can't be 21.
Nah.
Stay your age. And
Stay your age.
it's just like, you stay your age. For me, it's just like taking that step back and being like, this is happening.
Yeah.
Whether I like it or not, I can accept it and appreciate it and enjoy the growth and development. Or I can just be upset and bitter about it.
Yeah. But do you not think it's kind of a bit difficult when it's a change in dynamics, like a relationship or something? So say I end up having kids.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be a change in terms of my energy levels, the amount of times that we see each other.
Yeah.
And that's when people get their kind of backs up because they're not used to that.
Yeah.
They're like, whoa, we used to hang out all the time. You change. Or the one that always seems to, I hear about, I'm not on that level yet, but when people come into money, oh, you different. You forgot where you come from. Now you're living out in the hills.
I think you're better than us,
You think you're better than us. And it's like,
Oh, man.
I just wanted a better life for myself, my family, and everything like that. Of course, I changed. I got, you know, more resources to hand. So
I think
still me though.
It's and I'm glad you mentioned those two examples. On that one hand, because it's something that I thought about in terms of family having children. I think that's probably one of the biggest changes.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing life into the world. You've got a baby that's crying 4 a.m. when you have work. You need to be up in like 2 hours. You can't really hang out, or you have less time to kind of hang out with the lads. You're at home, stress, different levels. That for me is, again, is completely understandable. I'm like, you know what? This is something that I'm going to have to embrace and get used to, because when it hits, I'm going to feel this. I think where it gets interesting is with that example of money. And I'm glad you mentioned it, because interestingly enough, whenever I speak to or kind of see these videos of like Kevin Hart or whoever speaking about it, a lot of them say that it's not them, it's the people around them that change their viewpoint on that person. So this person, remember, is continuously focusing on growth and building the business. They've always been like that. And in your head, you only feel that they've changed when you found out they made money. And I remember hearing Kendrick Lamar say how he's always been the same person for the past 5-6 years. And as soon as people found out how much he was making, that was when it became, you've changed. You're different. The money got to you. He was like, no. You didn't see me when I was in the hood. I was in the studio always. Yeah. And I never picked up. I
just got a nicer home to come back to.
I still don't pick up now because I'm on. He was like, I was on stage. That's why I didn't pick up. I was working. Like, you called me and you're saying I've changed. I'm the same person. And I think that's where it becomes interesting, because it's usually that subjective view of how that person sees it. Oh, you've changed because you don't like me. No.
You ain't got time for me anymore.
You don't have time for me. I'm trying to grow and develop. I haven't seen you in 4 weeks. Well, I've got 3 kids. I'm tired, tripling. They're all crying at the same time, like 3 a.m. It's tough.
Never.
It's difficult, man. And it's an interesting conversation.
Because another one is like stepping into relationships as well. Like that whole aspect of having your time, and then now you got to have you and wifey or hubby, whoever listens to the podcast, and then there's that friendship circle, and your friends are, oh, you don't make time, you're not around anymore. Oh, since you got your new man, it's like, since you got your new girl, you're like, you're not around. You change, you different. What you forgot about us, and it happens. It shouldn't. It really shouldn't. I think that's one aspect where.
But that's the thing. It's like, it's the same with relationships are difficult because, or the dynamic of sharing friends and partners, because you spend all your time with your boys. Now you got the missus.
You're coming out on Saturday.
Sorry, lads. Me and the missus.
Let me check my calendar.
Come on, boys. We're playing football on Tuesday. Like, nah, bro. It's Taco Tuesday. Me and wife, we're gonna make tacos. Oh, is that it? Yeah. Man's out here doing tacos. You should be kicking ball. You change, man. And it's tough because you want to be able to share that love and attention and time with all your people. But again, it's just that inevitable aspect of it's going to happen, because it gets worse. Because again, that's when there's children and you have a family, that's your priority. Because I remember I used to spend loads of time with a lot of my boys, sort of university, college. But then when the 9 to 5 hit, bro, I'm up at
tomorrow.
I'm up at 6. I finish at 5.
Changes.
I don't leave the office till 6 or 7. It's different now. I used to see you during the week. Now I can only see you at the weekend. I'm not airing you. It's just there's been a change in the trajectory of my life, and this is the consequence
what I need to do.
And you work around it. But I think sometimes there can be too much change. I think self-inflicted change all the time can be detrimental.
What do you mean by that?
So we're talking changing your wardrobe every other day, different style. Changing the interior design of your house every other day. Changing your career trajectory just for the sake of change. I did this training session at work where, like these like personality tests, Myers-Briggs. It was like a more kind of modern version of it. And then everyone kind of got different colors based on the answers they'd given. Then they put like this map out on the floor, which was like introvert, extrovert, and it just showed all these traits, like calculated, blah blah blah. So I was on the introvert side, and that was measured, quiet, blah blah blah. It was like, in meetings you're probably quite quiet, but you know the answers. And I was like, rah. She's like, I got it right. How
did you know?
I was like, you are good. She flipped it onto the other side, and then they spoke about how a lot of the times you can't see your flaws, especially at work, and no one's going to come up to you and be like, you're great at this, but you're not good at that. And when she flipped it to the other side, it kind of showed not necessarily flaws, but areas that could be improved. And mine was more the opposite of. So one of my opposite was change for the sake of change, and mine was more, I just like a tried and tested method. If something works, I'm like, let's just stick to it. It was like, no, it was written as, it was change resistant. So I'm resistant to change. And then they basically got the person opposite me to say, not advice, but to kind of be like, why should this person think about that? And then she was like, because change is inevitable. And then I just looked at the thing and I was like, why would you change for the sake of change? And I was getting into it. I was like, why would anyone do that? Then everyone was like, everyone's all laughing.
Yeah.
And that was when the lady explained about how change is inevitable in life.
Yeah.
You might not necessarily like something, but that's not going to stop it from happening. If your daughter is pregnant at 16, if she's 7 months pregnant, the baby's coming. You might not want to be a granddad. You might not be ready. And I've seen it play in sort of family friends' lives where someone gets pregnant at 17, the parents are like, but you're supposed to be in university. Like, we've waited, we worked hard for you, we wanted you to go and get an education,
Save the
do well,
peas.
but now a baby's coming.
Yeah.
Whether I like it or not, I'm going to be a granddad. Whether I want to be or not, I'm going to be a grandmom. And I have to kind of deal with the reality of the situation. And it's some serious change. And I think it can be so tough in those contexts when you're not ready for it. Because a lot of people...
I don't think you ever can be ready for certain things.
With life, a lot of the times, you're not ready. And life and the way life is, life's sneaky, like, you look happy.
Just taps you on one shoulder, you turn around, it's on the other side, you're like, oh, man.
How much you got in your savings? Oh, is it? Not anymore. What? No, handle this.
Oh, man, yeah.
Kind of thing. And life just kind of throws things
Comes at you fast.
So I think it's for me, I've got myself into... And then a sort of another episode we had, it was that kind of concept of bracing. When Misha said bracing for things and not constantly be in a brace mode, but understand that when things happen, okay, we're here. How do we handle it?
Yeah.
I think
take it as it comes.
So yeah, before I used to kind of have this mindset of, why the check? No, I like this way. I want to go this. This is the way. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And then as I got older, I just kind of realized that, you know what? I don't like a lot of these things, but they still happen. How can I evolve? Okay, I've understood that now that change is inevitable. Let me embrace it. Okay, this is happening. Let me prepare now. I won't complain. I won't moan. Let's put in the work now to see what we can do about it, because it's happening.
Yeah,
it's happening. I think it has that positive spin and should be seen as just, it's happening. Let's go.
I think one thing that I notice in myself is I could change my opinion, but it's all based on what I've kind of learned or been exposed to. So certain opinions that I once upon a time had, especially with this podcast, where I'm like, I would never. And then over time, I don't know, an article will come up or it will happen to me. And I'm like, you have to kind of bite your tongue and be like, you know what? I changed. Like, my whole opinion's changed. And I think sometimes in the world that we hold people, and I think maybe this is... I'm gonna focus on like social media. Like, people like to go back to people's tweets, like way back in 2011,
bro,
and they said some reckless, wild thing at 16, bro, and they still want to hold that against them. Yes, they were wrong to say it, but actually think about it. They were 16. They were young, dumb, and stupid.
They're probably just retweeting what they saw,
and they might even wrote the words, but at the same time, if they come to a place of going, listen, I am wrong, and it's honest, then you have to accept that. But people are like, you like this, therefore you must stay that way. That is your opinion. You're never going to change that. And you're like, but change is inevitable. With education, you can change your idea. With education, with awareness, with being in certain situations, it can open up your eyes to other things as well, like possibilities or opportunities.
It's needed, and it's harsh because like you said, they kind of stick that on that person and they kind of go, you said this. I don't care that you're 10 years older, you're a dad now, and you've married the person you said you'd never marry, but no, you said it, we're holding that against you. And I think for me, what I see as evidence of the power of growth is when you look at businesses, the businesses that tend to survive and thrive are the ones that embrace change. So McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, constantly adapting their recipes, their products, their services, their offerings, they survive. When I look at companies that kind of go, I don't know, I'm comfortable, they fail. Classic example being Kodak. You guys were the first to think about this digital camera thing. But you were like, no,
everyone's not ready for it.
They're not. Everyone's using this old kind of clicky No, forget it. Your competition then found out, and they wiped the floor with you. We've seen it with Blockbusters and Netflix. Netflix came, look, subscription service.
They're like, Blockbusters, you guys need this.
Blockbusters were like, look, hard copy. No, come on, guys, post it. You can post it back. No,
what is this?
Everyone's on.
Come to me.
I'm saying,
I'm the plug.
understanding that movement, and again, we see it in companies now, like the companies that survive, that have been around for 50, 60, 70 years are the ones who understand that it is inevitable. They embrace the change, they realize how to take advantage, they jump on, and they keep it moving. And I think there is something in that progression and growth in terms of careers.
That's
and jobs.
so mad, because you're change resistant, but then you're on the cuff of understanding that change is inevitable.
I'm on. To be fair, I've
or is it only in certain settings?
It's not. I've been realizing it's been over a year now that I'm just like, look, I can't control. I'm one of those people, like, I like to know that if I'm driving a car, I'm driving a car. I don't really like. I'm not really on this automated. I'm not on this automated car. I'm like, no, car. I'm driving. It's good. I got this kind of thing. So me being in that position where I'm in the driver's seat, but I haven't got my hands or control of the car, I'm a bit uncomfortable. Hence, the kind of change resistant. But I'm starting to realize that, look, at some point, all cars might be, driverless.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm gonna have to release control, relinquish control, and let other people take charge. And at some point I have to understand that in life things are not always going to go my way, as I've experienced many times. Things are not always going to go the way I want it to go, and I have to just accept. I ain't got a choice. It is what it is.
So I guess when people come to you and they're like, oh, you change, is it more of a thing where they should be more, I don't want to say understanding, but they need to be kind of clued up in the sense of change is inevitable? And they need to set the, because it's almost on the border of growth mindset, fixed mindset.
Yeah.
And it's almost understanding for that person who's like, oh, you've changed. They need to understand that change is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Like, you can't expect me to be the same way. Like, you should also look at yourself and change. Like, you don't want to be like, well, yeah, of course. Like, but what going for you? You not changing? You happy where you are? And from my own personal experience, the people that turn around to me and tell me that I've changed tend to be the ones that are very unhappy with their situation.
Yeah, facts.
And it's not a jealousy thing. I hope it's not. But it's like this kind of like, look at you. You think you're... No, I'm just trying to get on with life.
Yeah.
But I feel like, and I can't really speak for them because I'm not in their shoes, but obviously the change has created this kind of, I don't know, some dislike towards me. Like, oh, why are you changed? Why can't you, you don't do this, you don't do it? Because it's not keeping me happy, When you start putting yourself first and you start doing things for you, there is the consequence that you might impact other people because they're going to be like, oh, that's different. I'm sorry, but I got no other choice. I'm putting myself first. I'm not going to then be like, oh, you know what? I did change and I see how you're impacted and let me change back. What good's that to me?
Yeah.
So it's like being confident in I can change, and also that other person to understand that. Do you feel like you have to explain why things have changed?
I'll be honest, it for the most part, no, but it does depend on the context.
Like you don't holler at me anymore. We don't spend time together. Well, go on.
Maybe a sentence or two. Oh, I've just been busy. I'm trying to start a business. That's it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But I'll be honest, it is contextual. If it's someone that I'm like, I rate you, but you're kind of not in that level of growth and whatever, but I see that you're open-minded and you're willing to change, you're willing to hear what I'm saying, I will tell you. If I know that they're just stuck in a mud type mindset, fixed mindset, don't want to hear it, whatever, I've just changed and started a business. Take from that what you want.
Oh, because you got money now, so what, you trying to...
Boy, I'm going back to work. See, like, like you've got your own, we've all got our own things to deal with, and it's not about being there to just be at the will of people like, oh man, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Please,
sorry,
man.
Forgive me.
I'm doing my thing, you do yours, man. If you, again, it's that loving from a distance. If you want that support and guidance, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I started my business, this is what's helped me, maybe it will help you. No? Fair enough. All I can do is me, like you said, I'm living my life, I'm trying to get on. You can come on this journey with me, but this is the pace I'm moving at.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to speed up to 60 miles an hour, you want to stay at 20, I'm not slowing down for you. I'm gone. Like it's not what anyone wants to hear. It sounds cutthroat. Welcome to the world. It's just change.
But I guess looking at it from like a relationship standpoint, you hear it where people have kids, the kids grow up, and then it's the parents just left at home together, and I guess they get lost in the whole raising kids, and doing school runs and kids going to university, and they look at each other and they're like, "You're different."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, when did this happen? It happened 18 years.
It's happened a while ago, honey.
It's been happening. Like, where was you? And it's interesting, that whole aspect of it, because it's that realization of waking up one day and being like, who are you? Like, we've been sleeping in this bed for like 25 years together, and I'm who is this person? You're telling me that you're into fishing now. Like, I knew you did fishing every now and again, but you into fishing?
Like, I say you cook fish, but I know you.
So it's like, you've changed. Like, you've definitely changed. And it's kind of interesting because you were saying about, I'm on level 60, they're on level 20. Does that same rule apply when it's in a relationship, or when you're realizing that your interest has gone into this direction and your partner's not quite there? Like,
not at all. I think that is healthy in a relationship. Having those differences, being able to share that. Oh, well, I do this in my spare time. What do you do in your spare time? And just embracing that. And I think that is a good example, because it's one of those areas where when you have kids, it really just take away from everything. Yeah. And I think sometimes when that happens, you have to kind of re-love and re-love. We kind of rekindle the relationship again. Start dating again. Because that's when apparently quite a lot of people at that age kind of get divorced. When the kids are gone, they're like, we spend all that time looking after the kids. Now it's like, I don't know who you are.
So do you still like going to the skate park?
What was your name again? Nah. Mum? Okay, I was married. Oh, okay.
Them ones. Nice. Wow.
Like, when it's been so long that the kids have just been the focus.
Oh, Daddy. Like, I got a name, Back in the day when we didn't have kids and I wanted you to call me our papi, our daddy, that was cool. But now, all I'm hearing, daddy this, daddy that, daddy socks, daddy. I'm done with this dad title. My name's Antoine.
Nice to meet you. Like,
that's scary though. Like, to actually go through that whole transition of becoming two different people, not really realizing it, and then kids leave, and then realizing that you've been living in a household with someone, and you two have just grown in those completely different angles or different ways. And it's scary in the sense of, obviously the love is that bond, and it's scary in the sense of, how do you continue that? Is it one of those things where you start dating again? Or is it a thing of going, we've changed?
Yeah. No, I say embrace it, man. I'm like, you've changed, I've changed. Let's kind of use this opportunity to relearn one another. Yeah. To fall in love again. Yeah. Yeah, you've changed, but you're still the same person fundamentally. That's never going to change about you. That's your core. Yeah. I'm in love with your core. You have some different habits. You hang around with new people. We both look a bit different. We're a bit older. Let's do this. Like, let's not let this die. Let's try. Yeah. I think there's definitely strength in the trying of it and trying to just bring it back together. And the kids come back and they're like, "Oh, you guys are loved up. What's going on here?
Hey, don't you guys come back now?
Hold me back in. Your room's my game room now.
We're having another baby." What? I'm 18. We've got to have another brother or sister. That's mad.
Well, you are. There's that change.
change. But yeah, I just felt like it was a topic that needed to be discussed, because a lot of people will throw stuff in your way of like, you've changed. I don't have people like that in my life today. They'll be like, okay, if there is a change in terms of my behavior, they'll be like, oh, what's going on? Like, they will actually just kind of seek, like, what's going on? Like, I haven't heard from you for a couple of days. Like, what are you on? And I'll be like, this, that. Oh, cool, man. You're doing your thing. All right, man. Take it easy. But back in the day, people would be like, oh, you changed. You go uni, you change. You got a job, you change. You live in Bristol now, oh, you change. And I'm like, bro, you're not living with me 24/7.
Yeah.
To be saying that I should live a normal average life. Like, I can't have that.
Doesn't work like that.
I can't have that. Like, even my environment has caused me to change. Like, me being in certain environments, it's not I'm actively trying to change. It's more me adapting to a new scenario, a new situation. So, for example, moving to Bristol and stepping into a place where you don't know anyone, that's going to create change anyway.
It's just natural, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's part of the process.
You ever, like, you stand there and be like, I'm from London, and try to carry this London mentality of like, busy city, cool, on the go. Or you're in Bristol and someone goes, all right, my lover, and you're like, who's talking to me, and just looking at them and being like,
what'd you call me?
hello.
Comes that to my face. Oh, you're a lover. Oh, sorry. Nice to meet you.
Oh, you've changed so much over the years. Like back then, if someone said that, you wouldn't have said hello. And I'm like, yeah, because I was in a different environment. I've learned that it doesn't hurt to say hello to people, to be friendly, and this is the way. Oh, you're so friendly. Like back in the day, wow, you changed a lot. And it's like, thanks.
Yeah,
like I appreciate if someone's telling me like you've changed and it's amazing to see the person you are. I fully accept that. But if it's coming at me with shots,
we don't want it.
Sorry.
We don't want it.
Sorry.
Stay
away from me. So,
bad energy, stay away.
Bad vibes.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's a good way to end.
Yeah, it's a good way to end one. It's definitely an interesting topic to discuss and for people to ponder on. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening as always. And yeah, we can be found Tag Me In Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and we can be emailed at info@tagmeinpodcast.co.uk. And as always, keep it locked.